Hello and welcome to a Roblox scripting tutorial on conditionals. A conditional being an if statement. So, let's make a variable that is true. A equals true. If A is equal to true, then print A is true. So, because A is true, this would occur. It would print A is true, because this condition has been met. Now you can also do if A is false, then. This would not work because A is not true. So it would read this, find out, hey, A is not true. So now it won't do anything. It'll just continue on down here. If there were others. So, instead of writing if A is equal to true, you can just do this. This means the exact same thing. You have to remember that this means true. You can be visual and do if A is true instead. Both work. Along with false, you can do it a different way as well. You can type not. This would be if false. If A is false, then it'll print this, assuming this was actually A equals false. There's a lot more than just if something is equal to this, then continue. Let's make two variables. If var is true and var2 is false, then print condition met. Now this would work because var, this one, is true, while var2 is false. So if var is true, the script will check for var, the variable, see it's true, continue, it'll see and, meaning the next value has to be whatever you want it to be. So this has to be false, or this will not continue. So var2 equals false, that's good, so this will continue. But if this was true, this would not continue because var2 is actually false. We can also, if not var2, and if var, this will also work because the conditions are still met. Now, if you were to do var2 equals a string, this would not work. Doing var2 does not mean it's a string. If there's something here, it'll be true. So if var and var2, this means true, because it's not false and it's not nil. Nil being nothing. This. It doesn't mean and var2 as in and a string as its value. Put this back to false and check if var or not var2. Or will work if var is either true. I'll make it the simpler way for people that want to be more visual. So if this is true, it'll continue on. But say this was not true, this was false. So it would check to see that there's an or, and they'd need to see, sorry, the not is not supposed to be there. It'll check and see if var2 is false. So if this was actually false, and this is still false, it would still work, because either or have to work. It does not have to be both. And means it has to be both, or means either. So one of these can be wrong, like this. This would still work. There's also else and else if. So if var is false, I'll make this as true, because that's what it is. Else print condition wasn't met. Now because this if ran, it will print this and then be done, end. Nothing will happen. Nothing else besides this print. But if this was actually asking for it to be false, this wouldn't be printed. It'd see the else, go to the next possibility, and print this. And I said else if. It's like an if statement, but you don't need yourself an end, and you can provide information. Now if you were to run this, it would print condition wasn't met for up here. And of course you can still do and something here and above also. That all still works. Now let's make a script that will make your health decline by 10 if you touch a given part. So first, let's use this guy right here. My spawn is over here, so set it closer. So we're going to make this, when you touch it, it will go not so well for you, because you'll lose 10 health. So first you want to make your variable so it types shorter, but you don't have to. Part.touched, this is an event, so connect it, and then tag in a function. Now this has an argument with it, so the argument, a lot of people like to do hit, because the only time this is firing is if you hit the part, which is touching it. So you can just make this touched if you prefer it as well. But hit is shorter. It can be Q for all you need to care. If hit.parent, my bad. If hit.parent, find first child. This will look for the child inside of hit's parent. So if a player touched this, it would look for the model, and it would find inside of the model humanoid. If there's a humanoid, the chances are you're touching a player, because nothing else has a humanoid unless you have NPCs or something in your game. Then you need to account for that. So then we want to do hit.parent.humanoid. We don't need find first child because we know it exists now. Let's make a variable for the humanoid. Hum equals. Now, as you see, this is blue. You can do local. This is a scope. This whole spot is the scope of this if conditional. Meaning, this scope in the script itself contains all of this. The scope of the touched event contains all of this. And the scope of this part contains all of this. So if we have hum as our variable here, hum would also work right here. This would be the same thing. Now if we just typed local hum, the scope is different. This scope is not shared in here. So local hum will not work because it doesn't exist here. So we can make another hum variable here. If we did local part, it would work everywhere because everything is inside the scope. Back to this, hum.health equals hum.health. Make sure we have the full value of their HP first, and then subtract it by 10. Now this seems pretty good. Let's try it out. So let's touch the part. I touched it and a lot more than 10 disappeared. A lot of health vanished. Now why is this? You'll notice when you have touched, it fires a lot because you have a left leg and a right leg touching at the same time. So that's 2 times it will fire. Plus, it doesn't just do it when they touch it and then they're far away. That's not when it stops. It will continue multiple times for each thing touching the part. Now how can we fix this? We do something called a debounce. So let's give a variable. We can call it debounce for now. Equals false. So if the humanoid exists, then if debounce, then making sure debounce is true, enter it back in. So if debounce, then debounce equals false. Let's make this if not debounce. My bad. Debounce equals true. Then we're gonna make sure wait 1 second. They won't be damaged after their first damage. Now we can try it out. It will work. You touched it. 10 damage. 10 damage. I'm not getting spam 10 damage. Every 1 second, I'll have the damage after touching it. Let's see why this works. So debounce is false. If this, we found the humanoid, then if not debounce, meaning if this debounce is false, which it is, right here, this will allow everything here to occur. So now debounce became true, meaning when they check this and you touch it again, this code will run before this code gets to finish, which is why your health gets spammed to decrease, because this is occurring multiple times. Now when debounce becomes true, this no longer works because debounce is true. It's not false. It will find this out, find out that debounce is not false anymore, that we want it to be false for here, so it'll just end and be done. So while that happens, this still continues on. We make the variable for the humanoid. We make the health go down by 10. We wait 1 second, and then debounce becomes false. So after 1 second, it will become false, allowing this to occur again. And that's pretty much all. If you wanted to make less lines, you could do this. And not debounce. As I told you how to use and. So in this part, no longer needed. No longer needed. Keep in mind you want your code to be neat. You want this to be tabbed. If you drag over here, drag down, hold shift, hold tab, it'll put all selected areas back. Just press tab, it'll go forward. So in case you're messing up a conditional and it's already tabbed next, you can just grab it all, shift tab or just tab, whichever fixes your problem. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video for some more tutorials. The next video will be about loops, such as for loops, for generic loops, while loops, repeats, and so on.